Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about lesson 13.6, which is perimeter and area. So just to refresh your memory, the difference between perimeter and area, we know you learned this last year and probably the year before also, but this is something that always confuses kids. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of something, right? So you have here your fence, which represents the perimeter. It's the outside. So I'd like you to write that on your paper, outside. And then we have the area. The area is the inside part, right? Think of an area rug, right? It's the inside part that takes up space. So I'd like you to write inside. Again, if you don't have your guided notes printed out, even just taking notes will be extremely helpful. If you do have them printed out, please, fill it out as we go along. If I go too fast, you can always pause it. So our goal today is to find the unknown length or width of a rectangle using a known area or perimeter. Okay, that's our fourth grade standard. And there are formulas for remembering area and perimeter. Perimeter is 2 times the length, this fancy L right there, it's like a cursive L, that stands for length. And you don't have to use the cursive L. Sometimes I just use a printed L. And the W stands for width, right? So sometimes people use like a fancy W, like a cursive, and that stands for width. Okay. The length of something is the longer part, length, long, and the width is usually these two side areas right here. That would be the width. Okay, so perimeter's formula is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Or, as I learned it in school, you just add up all the sides. So you would just go around the outside. So this plus this plus this plus this, and that would give you perimeter. Area's formula is actually pretty easy. Area equals length times width. And there you have it. All right, so let's do some examples to practice the skills. I'm really going to be focusing on some harder problems in today's lesson because these are the types of problems that are going to be trickiest for us as we go through this lesson. And these are probably the kinds of problems that will present the most challenge as you go to take your Topic 13 test soon. All right, so here's our first example. A rectangular shaped state park has a perimeter of 37 miles. So that means perimeter means the outside of it, right? The outside is 37 miles. The width is 7.5 miles. What is the length? Oof. All right. So what do we know, right? We know the perimeter is going to be 37. We already know that. They told us that. We also know that the width is 7.5 miles. So I always like to draw a diagram. So I know this is a very tight space, but I'm going to draw it. I'm going to draw that diagram. That's my park. I know if I add up all the sides, it's going to be 37 because they told me that. I know my width is 7.5. That means that this right here is 7.5. And if this side is 7.5, then the other side has to be 7.5. Okay. And I don't know my length. I'm going to put little question marks there because that's what I'm looking for, right? I need to find out what would one of my lengths be. All right. So the first thing that we want to do here is figure out what the widths would be added together. So I have 7.5 plus 7.5. Well, 7 plus 7 is 14, and a half plus a half is 1. So 14 plus 1 would be 15. So I know that my widths added together are 15 miles. Now, if I know that if I add these two widths, it's going to give me 15, and I know the total is 37, I can take 37 and subtract 15, and then that will give me what my two unknowns are added up together, right? Does that make sense? So if I take my whole perimeter of 37 and subtract my widths, I'll be left with my lengths. So 37 minus 15 is 22. All right. Now, some people might think that 22 is the final answer. Oh, your length is 22 miles. But that actually gives us the length for both of these sides combined. We need to just find out what one of the lengths are. So what we need to do is, since they are opposite equal, we know that we can just divide by 2. We can split that 22 in half, and we would be left with 11. So the length of the park is 11 miles. So we know now we could fill in that's 11 and that's 11. And then I always like to double check, right? Let's add up all the sides and see if we actually get 37. If we do, we will know that we got it right. And we always want to do that, especially for a test. So we'll just find a place. There's not much. I'm going to just do it over here. We have 11 plus 11 plus 7.5 plus 7.5, which we found out was 15, right? Or we could do 22 plus 15. So I'm going to add that 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, and I get 37. It checks out. It checks out. So now I know I got it right. Okay, that's insurance that you got it right. Okay, let's move over. It says, now that we found the perimeter of the state park, what is the area of the state park? Now remember, our formula for area is area equals length times width. All right. We also knew, I'm just going to draw another model here. We know that one of our lengths is 11, right? We just figured that out. We know that one of our widths is 7.5. And I could fill in these other two if I wanted to, but I don't need to, because all I need to do is multiply 7.5 times 11, and that will get me my area. All right. So how do I do that? Well, I can multiply it using fractions, 7.5 times 11. And I could turn this mixed number into an improper. So 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So I have 15 halves times, if it's a whole number, then you better put a 1 under it. All right. So now, if I look, I can't do any cross canceling. So I need to do top times top over bottom times bottom. All right. I don't know 15 times 11 off the top of my head. So I'm going to go up here and I'm just going to do a little problem. Can you guys see that? 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Happy face 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Add it up. 5, 6, 1. So I get 165 divided, well, over 2 times 1 is 2. All right. Now, this is an improper fraction, 165 over 2. So I want to see how many times can I get a 2 to go into 165. So I need to do a division problem. So I'm going to do that over here. 165 divided by 2. A 2 can't go into a 1. A 2 can go into 16 8 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Leaving me with nothing. I bring down my 5. Right? A 2 can go into 5. How many times? 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Leaves me with 1. Now, we're in 4th grade now. We don't need to put that as a remainder. Let's put it as a fraction. So I'm going to put the 1, and I'm going to use my divisor as my denominator. So I get 82 and a half. So 82 and a half. Sorry, these are tight spaces to write in. So our area of the state park is 82 and a half square miles, right? And we could always maybe use a model or use a different way, like distributive method if you want it to. You could do 7 times 11 would be 77, and then a half times 11, and then add that up to get your answer as well. Okay, just to check yourself. Okay, let's move over to some other examples. The area of a rectangular room is 60 square feet. So they're telling us the area, it's 60 square feet. It has a width of 6 feet. What is the length of the rectangle? All right, so let's draw a little model. I always like to draw it. They're telling me that the area is 60 square feet. That means that the area, the inside, equals 60. All right. We also know that it has a width of 6 feet. So we know that this is 6, and if this side is 6, then the other side is 6. The feet there. Okay. And they're asking us, what is the length? So we are solving for these two question marks right here, right? What are the lengths? All right, well, we got this, right? The first thing is, let's add up our width. So 6 plus 6 equals 12. And if we know that area, right? Let's do this. Area equals length times width. And so we know that our area is 60. So 60 equals length. We still don't know what length is. Times our width. One of our widths is 6. Right? We actually didn't even need to do that, but we can check our work. We can find the perimeter after. So we can think to ourselves, what times 6 is going to give us 60? So our length is going to be 10, right? Because 10 times 6 is 60. And let's see if that makes sense. We'll do a 10 here, and then we'll do a 10 here. And let's find out what the perimeter would be, even though they don't ask that. So we would add 10 plus 10 plus 6 plus 6. So we already did 6 plus 6 is 12. 10 plus 10 would be 20. So 20 plus 12, if we were going to find the perimeter, would be 32. All right, good job. So I'm going to circle my answer here. So my answer, the one that they actually asked, what is the length of the rectangle? Our length is 10 feet. We always want to make sure that we're putting that unit on there, 10 feet. All right, let's do another one. What is the perimeter of the room below? All right, we know perimeter is when we add up all the sides, right? Add them all up. So if this length is 12 centimeters, then that means that the opposite length is 12 centimeters. We're working with rectangles here. The 4th grade standard is rectangles. There's different formulas if you were finding like perimeter of a, let's say, triangle or something, or another quadrilateral. And if this side is 7 centimeters, then this side must be 7 centimeters. So to find the perimeter, we're going to add up all of our sides, or we could apply the formula. So perimeter would be length times 2 plus width times 2. And we would get 2 times 12 is 24, plus 7 times 2 is 14. Therefore, our perimeter would be 38 centimeters. And that would be our perimeter. We could also think of it like, show you another way, 12 plus 12 plus 7 plus 7, right? It's like if you were walking around the entire perimeter of this room, the outside of the room, and we'd add up all the sides, and you would also get the same answer. So perimeter equals 38 centimeters. Now, if you were going to find the area, what would we have to do? It doesn't ask for this, but to find the area equals length times width. So our area would equal 7 times 12, and that's a basic fact. So our area would equal 84, and then we would say centimeters squared. Area is always in squared units. Just like up here, we had 60 square feet was our area. So area is in centimeters squared in this particular example. All right, let's move up to this one. we have the perimeter of a rectangular bedroom is 65 inches. Maybe of a dollhouse or something like that. 65 inches is actually pretty tiny, right? Think about a ruler. I actually have a ruler right here, right? This is 1 inch. So this would be 12 inches. Like, that wouldn't be a very big bedroom, 65 inches. And that's the perimeter. It has a width of 11 and a half inches. What is the length of the rectangle? All right, let's draw our model. So we know that the perimeter is 65 inches. That means that if I add up all the sides, it's going to get me 65. Okay. They're also telling me that my width is 11 and a half. So this one is 11 and a half, and this one is 11 and a half. I don't know what my lengths are. Those are my question marks. So how am I going to figure out what the length is? Well, if I add up my two widths, 11 and a half plus 11 and a half, right, what do I get? Well, 11 plus 11 would be 22, and a half plus a half is 1. So I would have 23 if I added this up, right? Now, if I know that this is 23, how am I going to find out what this is? Well, let's subtract. Let's subtract 23 from 65. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. So I get 42. Now, don't be mistaken. 42 isn't the answer because we now need to divide 42 in half to account for these both of the lengths. So 42 divided by 2. 2 goes into 4 2 times. Bring down our 2. 2 goes into 2 1 time. And we would get 21. So this length is 21. This length is 21. So our final answer is L equals 21 inches. Make sure you have that label on there. The label is really, really important. Okay, it wouldn't be inches squared. That's only if you're doing the area. All right, we're finding just the length. All right, and here's another one. Find the width based on the given information. So they tell us the perimeter, which is the amount outside. They give us the length. So if this is 16 meters, then this is 16 meters. Whatever this guy is this guy over here. So I'm going to add together 16 plus 16 and then subtract it from 56. And then I'm going to divide by 2. So 16 plus 16. If I add that up, I'm going to get 32. So then I'm going to take 56, my perimeter, subtract 32. And I am going to get 24. Now I have one last step. I need to divide 24 by 2, right? So 24 divided by 2 is 12. So this would be 12 meters, and this would be 12 meters. Oops, sorry guys. So my width equals 12 meters, and that is my answer. And if I wanted to just double check, which is always a good idea, I could add up all of my sides and see if I get 56. So I could do 16 plus 16 plus 12 plus 12. 6 plus 6 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And check. I got 56. Okay, good job. All right, let's turn the page. Okay, these examples are a little bit easier as we go through them. This is the point that you may want to stop the video, try to solve these on your own, and then come back to see if you are right. So it's asking us what is the area. We know area equals length times width. All right, if area equals length times width, we know that we have area equals 9 times 3. So what is our answer? Area equals 27, and we want to use whatever unit. So we're doing yards, and we're doing squared because it's area. So that's our final answer. Okay, let's do another one. If the area of the box below is 44 inches, that means inside is 44 inches, then what would n be? So we want to know the width, right? All right, well, this is easy. We know area equals length times width. We know the area is 44, right? We know the length is 11. So 11 times what equals 44? N would equal 4 inches, right? 4 inches. There you go. All right. Down here, it's asking for area and perimeter for each of these problems. It's also giving you the units somewhere. This guy doesn't have units, so let's just pretend it's yards. Okay. So how do I find the area? Length times width, 7 times 4 would be 28. And we want to do inches. And because it's area, we want to square it. So 28 inches squared, right? And we got that because we did 7 times 4. Perimeter is the outside of the figure. So if this is 7, then this is 7. If this is 4, then this is 4. And now we can add it up. 7 plus 7 is 14. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So our perimeter is 22 inches. Okay, over here, we're dealing with centimeters. Area equals length times width. 4 times 9 would give us 36 centimeters squared. Mm-hmm. For perimeter, we want to add it up. So if this is 9, then this is 9. If this is 4, then this is 4. 9 plus 9 is 18. 4 plus 4 is 8. 18 plus 8 is 26. So our perimeter is 26 centimeters. All right, and the last two problems. Sorry, my phone is getting lots of texts right now. All right, area, length times width. So 11 times 7 would be 77 inches squared. Perimeter, we're going to add it all up. So we do 11 times 2 would be 22, right? 7 times 2 would be 14. And if we add that up, 4, 5, 6, so it would be 36. 36 inches is the perimeter. And finally, we have area, 10 times 16, right? So 16 times 10 is 160 yards squared. And our perimeter, we'd have to add it all up, right? So 16 plus 16 plus 10 plus 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we would get 52 yards. All right. Your assignment today is going to be listed in our Google Classroom. Good luck with this. Perimeter and area can be tricky, especially as we get into 4th grade and solving for unknowns, but just keep those formulas in your mind and double check your work and you'll be sure to do well. All right, guys, have a great day.